Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, February 23rd edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and there's Mr. Cole Shelton, and we are joined in the chat by Babel fan, aka Marcel Dorf. Marcel says Cole broke one of the most odd fights of 2021 already. Props to the scoop. Actually, Cole, I did want to start with that just because I'm going to give you some rub, man. Come on. What's the fight you broke, Cole? Tell everyone.
On May 22nd, Danielle Wolf, the 1-0 MMA fighter, will make her UFC debut against Felicia Spencer. This has all the makings of a bad fight. Just a beatdown is what it seems like. I
don't understand this fight. I get there's not many fighters in this division, Cole, but Danielle Wolf, that is probably the worst signing Dana White's made from the show in the 3 or 4 years they did it. She has no business in the UFC. One fight, it was a terrible fight, Cole. She does have some striking, like you mentioned, Cole, the boxing background, but I'm pretty sure Felicia Spencer is just going to grab her, throw her to the ground, and maybe tap her out or beat her to a pulp with Tiego first round. I think it's a terrible matchup. I expect Felicia to be like a massive favorite, Cole. I'm talking 700-800, maybe more.
Like an Amanda Nunes size favorite.
It's going to look like that. And listen, Felicia's not like an amazing fighter. She obviously showed a lot of holes against Munhoz. She got her ass kicked in that fight, but I think Cole, and against Cyborg too, but against anyone else, she beats them, I think, in this division. So bad matchup for Danielle Wolf. I'm just looking at her record. Cole, she's 37 too. She's really old. Felicia's 30. Wolf is 37. She has one pro fight. She does train at what's that gym called, Cole? Isn't she training with Liz Carmouche then in San Diego? Isn't that the gym? Whatever it's called. It says Alliance MMA. That's the one, and then also Kings. Anyways, good job though, Cole. Nice job pursuing that story. Because
my prediction though is that's the final featherweight fight in the UFC. That's kind of the bold prediction. So hear me out, right? This is the prediction. Amanda Nunes. I'm gonna spoil it for next week, but I think Nunes beats Anderson. Not really a bold prediction, but
I'm kidding.
Nunes beats Anderson.
2000 favorite.
I think that's Anderson's last fight of her deal. Do they really re-sign her to just fight Felicia Spencer again? Felicia Spencer beat Danielle Wolf. Nunes goes down to 35 one more time, then probably calls it a career. And then I think 45. I would not be surprised that's the final featherweight fight in UFC history.
And again, I'm just looking at Wolf's resume. She has some Olympic experience. She's definitely a good boxer, Cole. But it's MMA, Cole. It's not boxing.
This I don't get. There's so many more atom weights than featherweights, but Dana White is so
reluctant to do atom weight. He's saying exactly that. Get rid of featherweight and bring in atom weight. I agree with you guys, but and I think I even said that with Marcel at the beginning of the year. That was my prediction. The bold prediction was they're getting. It's not really bold, Cole. Let's be honest. I've been saying this for about 4 years as well. I'll be honest. So every year I'm getting this wrong. Same with Dana White resigns as UFC president. That's when I get wrong every year. UFC comes back. But yeah, no, I think that is a bad matchup for Wolf. But nice job, though. Seriously, getting that breaking news there, Cole. Good job. Let's see here. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as – did you break any other news, Cole? Did you have any other fights?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we might as well get into the preview, guys. We got a bunch of fights this weekend. Once again, I'm excited for it. UFC Vegas 20. Give me your thoughts, as a whole, Cole, while I pull it up and get it ready.
Yeah, all right card to me. I think main and co-main are obviously good. There's some fights like Munhoz, Rivera I'm excited for. There's some other fights that I just say it all the time. I don't get the bout order. I don't know. I think Alexander Hernandez, although it's not the biggest fight, I think that's a guy that should be on the main card just because he has a lot of hype behind his name. I don't get why they would put a Caceres Croom over that fight. I get that's probably gonna be a fun fight, but I think Hernandez has more of that name value. Montana De La Rosa, Bueno Silva as the third fight from the top. I'm not really sure about that one, but
yeah, I'm with you.
Card.
It was even last week. There was a few questionable decisions that they did as far as the bout order goes. Anyways, let's get into this card. So, last week was kind of rough too, man. It's been tough this year. It's been tough, man. The picks are not getting easier either. It feels like the matchmaking is so good now in the UFC. Anyone can win. And again, guys, on this podcast, me and Cole, we really do try to look at both sides of the coin. You can't just look at one fighter and be like, this guy's going to win the fight. You have to look at the other side. Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, great example, Cole. Everyone's looking at Curtis Blades' wrestling, and yes, it's great, but no one was really talking about, Lewis's power and his ability to get off the ground, and that's what, knocked him out. So just catch him with the uppercut. The guy's incredible. Anyways, let's get into these fights, but I want to get Battle Fan says, Roger's not fighting in a replacement. Yeah, so Raoni Barcelos has been pulled off the card due to COVID-19. His replacement, Marcelo Rojo, he's also off the card. Cameron says, what's up? Hey, Cameron. And Bao fan says, why are they putting these random women fights on the main card? All right, let's get into it. So first fight of the night, according to Tapology, Dustin Jacoby versus Maxime Grishin in the UFC light heavyweight division. And right now we have Dustin Jacoby. He's a minus 185 favorite. Maxime Grishin plus 160. Give me your pick in this one, Cole.
Yeah, I like Dustin Jacoby in this fight. I think Maxime Grishin has the capability to just kind of hold Jacoby up against the fence and kind of grind out a boring fight. But I like Jacoby's improvements. Like, he looked good against Justin Ledet. The leg kicks look good. He looked good on the Contender Series. Like, he's obviously a phenomenal striker. I think if this just is a striking, like a kickboxing fight, Jacoby wins 10 times out of 10. But just Grishin's wrestling and the ability to just kind of hold him kind of scares me off of Jacoby. I don't think Grishin has the power to put out Jacoby. Well, I think Jacoby has the power to put out Grishin. I'll lean Dustin Jacoby. I think he can be strong enough to get out of the clinch and just kind of pick apart Grishin on the feet. But it's one I don't really have a whole lot of confidence to lay almost 2-1 on Dustin Jacoby. Like, I think this is more of a pick 'em fight to me. But I lean Dustin Jacoby, and I think he can probably get it done like a late stoppage.
Yeah, and remember, like, it's so early in the week. It's Tuesday, guys, when we do our podcast. So these are leans, and they could change. Usually they don't, but they could. And last week was a perfect example. All those fighters missing weight. So we'll watch the weigh and see what happens. But my lean right now is also Jacoby, Cole. For me, it's just he's such a better striker. If the fight stays standing, I think he'll just destroy Maxime Grishin with the leg kicks, with straight punches, stay on the outside. But Grishin, his ability to make it kind of a boring grappling fest, that kind of does scare me off too, Cole. I'm not going to lie. I feel the same way. So, Grishin's also a former heavyweight. He's probably a little bit of a bigger man, a little bit of a longer reach too. We'll see. I like Jacoby, like, as far as if it stays striking, Cole. I mean, that's pretty obvious. He could knock Grishin out. It's possible, or win a decision on points. Or Grishin could take him down, maybe submit him too. So it's kind of a little trickier than I think some are suggesting here. My picks, my lean is towards Jacoby, Cole. I think he probably wins the decision, just kind of outpoints this guy. But I got to look into this one more because Grishin, even though he hasn't looked very good in the UFC, he is a guy with a lot of experience, a lot of fights, and a lot of fights at heavyweight as well. So it'll be an interesting fight. Okay, next up, we have a 135-pound bout between Ronnie Lawrence and Vince Cacero, who is moving down to bantamweight. Right now, we have Ronnie Lawrence is a minus 155 favorite. Cacero plus 135. Give me your pick, Cole.
Yeah, I've kind of been going back and forth on this one. I'm not really too high on either guy. I know, like, Vince Cacero is kind of weird. Like, he got into the UFC being 1-2 in his last 3, and then he obviously loses to Jamal Emmer, so he's 1-3 in his last 4. Like, but you look at it, like, he lost to Casey Kennedy, not a bad loss. Split decision against Sholinin. I could have gone with Cacero that fight. Obviously, good win over Marvin Garcia, and then lost to Jamal Emmer, so I don't think it's that bad of a loss. But Ronnie Lawrence, like, although he beat Jose Johnson, like, I wasn't too impressed. Like, I don't know. I kind of lean the underdog here in Vince Cacero. I just think he's a bit overall a better fighter. If it stays striking wise, I think he's a better striker than Ronnie Lawrence. I think, like, again, in the last fight, like I mentioned, I think Lawrence has all the capabilities, just kind of grind out Vince Cacero out and win a kind of a boring decision. But I just lean the dog in Cacero. But even though he is an underdog, I don't really have much confidence betting either guy, because I'm not really high on either of them.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. With Cacero moving down to 135. He's also training at Factory X, and he looked pretty good in training. Him, Jacoby, and Hernandez are all training together. They're on this card. So that's something to keep in mind. They're all getting good training in. But I got to be honest, Cole, like, I've been very underwhelmed by this guy. He obviously just didn't look good at all in his debut against Emmers. And then the fights in LFA, you're right. If you look closer, you got to look closer at these fights. The split decision fight, he probably should have won that fight. So, and the loss to Casey Kennedy, although it was a brutal loss, watched it last night. He just walked right into that knee in that fight. But overall, he probably does have the striking advantage in this fight, from what I've seen. This guy is a very good striker. Watched quite a few of his fights from the regional scene, and he can strike, man. The thing is, Cole, I think that Lawrence, by the way, he's training at Sanford MMA now, and he's getting the best training in. So he's training with, the best guys, Chandler, all these guys. And the last fight in the UFC, or sorry, not the UFC, Contender Series he had, Cole, he attempted 17 takedowns and landed 12 of them. He was a takedown machine in that fight. I understand his opponent was not very good at stopping the takedowns, but if that's the kind of game plan this guy has in his fights, he's going to win a lot of fights in the UFC. That's a smart fighter right there. That's a fight IQ, Cole. So yes, I do have some questions for sure, because it's kind of a step up in competition in some ways against the guy who's already in the UFC. So that's definitely a question mark. And if he can't get takedowns, Cacero's probably going to beat him on the feet. But Cole, this Sanford team, dude, I really believe in these guys. How can you bet against these guys right now? I'm not going to, Cole. So I'm actually going to pick the slight favorite here, Ronnie Lawrence. I'm not going to lie, Cole. I like him quite a bit in this fight, man. He's actually a little bit taller, and surprisingly, for considering he was the guy that was actually originally at 135. And I think that helped a little bit here, hopefully, just getting leverage and getting some takedowns, just holding the ground. I don't know if he gets a finish, Cole, but I think he just grinds it out. So Ronnie Lawrence is my pick here, minus 155. That's a pretty strong lean. And I'll definitely keep an eye on that line. But that is a strong lean for me right now. I do think he's going to win this fight by decision. All right, next up, we have a light heavyweight bout between Alonzo Menifield and William Knight. This fight could have been on the main card because I think this fight's definitely going to end a finish. And it's essentially a pick 'em right now, Cole. You look at all the books. Right now, it's basically 110 apiece in most books. So who are you picking in a pick 'em fight?
Man, this fight, like, I don't really know how you can have confidence in either guy. Like, it could really come down to who lands first. Like, we've seen Alonzo Menifield get knocked out. We've seen William Knight get knocked out to a Tafon Nichuki. Like, that fight seems very similar to this one, where both guys just are so muscular, just a ton of power. Both of them kind of cardio concerns. Like, I think Menifield, he kind of gassed against Clark. He did look a bit better against St. Preux with his cardio into that second round, but I'll lean Alonzo Menifield here. I think he's fought the better competition. He's obviously has that knock one over Paul Craig, knock one over Morea. Who cares about that one? But the Paul Craig fight, that was kind of impressive where he stopped the takedowns and knocked out Craig brutally, who's gone on a pretty good run. The Devin Clark fight, obviously that was a disappointing one, but Clark's just very durable, where Menifield cracked him a couple times the first round. A lot of guys would have went down to those punches. And then St. Preux, like, that's just, I don't know. The St. Preux one kind of throws me off of Menifield a bit. I think Menifield's kind of fighting for his job here. I normally talk to Menifield before all his fights. He's just told me, he's like, look, I'm not doing any media. I fully focus on this fight. Like, I know my job's on the line. With William Knight, like, the wins over Cody Brundage, I don't really put too much stock into. I think Brundage was just too inexperienced for that fight. Alex Caceres obviously a good win, but I think Menifield's a better striker. I think their power's probably similar, but I'll pick Alonzo Menifield here. But I don't know how you have confidence in either guy, just because it could be first one to land.
Yeah, it's definitely a close fight. I mean, that's why the odds are a pick 'em. But I honestly lean the other way, Cole. I'm fading Alonzo Menifield. I'm sorry. I know it's your boy. I know it's your guy. I've been fading like the last couple fights, Cole. After that Clark fight, I saw a lot of holes in his game. If he doesn't win in the first round, he's going to lose his fights. That's how I look at him as. He's a one-round fighter, and we saw that against OSP. He got smashed, and I was glad to get OSP at plus money in that fight. I'm hoping to get Knight here at plus money too. I mean, listen, it's a close fight. Obviously, Menifield can knock out Knight. We've seen him get knocked out by Nichuki, like you said, but Knight's pretty impressive, man. I mean, this is a guy who probably should have been in the UFC a few years ago. He already had 2 wins on Contender Series. It took him a while to get there. And then he gets to the UFC and he wins it against Kmart as an underdog. And I had him in that fight as a dog. So I do believe in this guy, man. I'm pretty high on William Knight. I think he has a big grappling advantage in this fight, Cole. That's where I see the advantage. I think he has a very good advantage, very big advantage in the grappling. So Menifield, yeah, we saw against Clark, he's got, pretty good clinch game, but he can be beaten there too. And I think that, Knight's going to push him against the fence and eventually get some takedowns here. Probably win by TKO ground pound. I don't see the fight going to 3 rounds. I'll say that right now. I know they have both gone 3 rounds. I don't think this one's going to go 3, Cole, but yeah, my lean right now is towards Knight, guys. I think he's just got the better grappling. So we'll see, because Kamer's not as good as Menifield, I don't think. Kamer's not that great. But Daniel says Menifield here. He won't be easy to dominate a clinch. I mean, Clark dominated him pretty bad in the clinch, Cole. So it kind of worries me a little bit. But I'm just scared if this guy gasses, because I think he will. Carries a lot of muscle. We've seen that in his fights. He gets tired after 5 minutes. Let's see the next fight: Alexis Davis versus Sabina Mazo. This, by the way, is at 135.
Yeah, Tapology's wrong on that one.
Yep, they are. So make sure to keep that in your notes, guys. It's 135, and right now we have Mazo minus 200, Davis plus 170. Who's your pick?
I have to go with Sabina Mazo here, but that odds are way too high for my liking. Like, Sabina Mazo, she almost lost to Justine Kish. Like, she lost the first 2 rounds, and if it wasn't for that head kick with like a minute left, she would have lost that fight. Like, and then even like that split against JJ Aldridge, I don't think JJ Aldridge is that good of a fighter. Like, that easily could have gone JJ's way. Like, Sabina has a lot of hype, but she hasn't really proven it to me in the octagon. Like, this win over Shayna Dobbs, and that's a good win just because I think Shayna is a tough out for kind of anyone, but like, she lost to Marina Moreau, the split against JJ Aldridge, and like Justine Kish and JJ Aldridge, those are supposed to be setup fights for her, where she's supposed to just kind of run through them, and she had a lot of difficulties. Alexis Davis is a big step up from although she's on a 3-fight losing streak, she's a big step up from what JJ Aldridge and Justine Kish is. Like, she's fought Ronda Rousey for the belt. Like, she has wins over Liz Carmouche, Jessica Ai, Sarah Kaufman. Like, although those aren't the top girls, they're way better than what Sabina Mazo is in this current state. So I think Davis is better at 135. She has the capability of just kind of grinding out this win and holding Mazo up against the cage. I think Mazo at 35 probably is better for her as well, but I think she's the better striker where she can pick apart Alexis Davis. But minus 200, no way I can lay that on Sabina Mazo.
It opened higher, actually. It opened at minus 240, so it's dropped a little bit. By the way, James interviewed both of them. I watched their interviews last night. It was interesting. Davis hasn't fought in 2 years, Cole. I believe she's also a pretty new mother, and she's in school to do her EMT thing. It sounds like she's got a foot out the door already, guys. Like, she hasn't fought in 2 years. She's 36 years old. I love her, man. She's Canadian, Cole. She's a Canadian MMA pioneer, and I love Alexis Davis. I mean, listen, the girl is so experienced. Woman, I should say. She's a little bit older than me. She's very experienced, Cole. Like, she has a knockout win over Amanda Nunes, so she is experienced, and she's fought the best of the best. She has great wins. But I haven't seen anything out of her in a couple years now. She has not looked good in her fights. She's also, like I said, 36. Mazo's 23 years old. That's a huge difference in age. Mazo's the taller fighter. Mazo has a longer reach. Mazo has, like, look at her. If you look at the stats, I understand the competition wasn't as great, but she's landing over 100 strikes in all of her fight, 100 significant strikes. That's incredible. And great takedown defense, too. So I think it's a kind of a tough fight for Davis, if anything, in my opinion. I know she has more experience. That's the one thing that worries me, Cole. But in general, I think Mazo's better everywhere. I think she'll just be able to outstrike Alexis Davis, win decision. That's my pick in this one. If the line keeps dropping, I might have to play her. I'm not going to lie. Minus 240, I was like, but if minus 200 is going to keep going down, I might have to take a shot on Mazo, who has had some good lines in the UFC. If you look at it historically, she hasn't been like a huge favorite in her fights. She was against Kish, but against Aldrich and Dobson, Cole, she was essentially like a pick and price. She did lose against Morose as a favorite, too, worth mentioning. Anyways, Mazo by decision. That's my lead in that fight. Next up, this is the last prelim. This is the fight that Cole thinks should be on the main card. Alexander Hernandez against Tiego Moises. Hernandez minus 185, Moises plus 60. Give me your pick.
I lead Alexander Hernandez here, and I like him a lot. Like, Tiego Moises, he was getting picked apart in Michael Johnson that first round. Like, that was a borderline 10-8 round. Johnson absolutely destroyed him. Then he goes out there and tries a heel hook or an ankle lock or whatever it was and submits Johnson like 20 seconds to start round 2. Like, I talked to Hernandez before this fight. Like, he even brought that up. He's like, to think this guy, like, that wouldn't work on most fighters except Michael Johnson, who just kind of has a lot of these brain parts in there. But I think Hernandez is grappling. Like, he grew, like, in San Antonio, like, that was what he was known for, is his grappling. So I don't think Moises will be able to get him down on the feet. I think Hernandez is just much better. I think really the question is, does Hernandez finish him? I'll lean that he just gets a decision. I think I think his striking is just so much better than Tiago Moises. Moises can't get. I think Moises has one path to victory, and that's to submit Alexander Hernandez, and I just can't see that happening. So I'll pick Alexander Hernandez. I lean Hernandez by decision, but I would not be shocked if he knocked out Moises.
I like this fight too. It should be fun. I am going to pick Hernandez. That's my lean right now, anyways. More experience in the UFC, I think, against better competition and better wins. And he looked great in his last fight. And the camp change, I think, was good for him. So there's a lot of good stuff to like about this guy. He's got some nice wins, more experience, better fighters, obviously. But Cole, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to bet against him because, Moises really surprised me against Bobby Green. It was a close fight, guys, but he did end up getting the win. And he beat Michael Johnson, too. In fact, he's 3-1 in his last 4 fights. So he's looking better. Really only losing to, good fighters. Demir Asmagulov and Beneil Dariush in the UFC. He's only 25 years old, too. So he's getting better, Cole. Like, I didn't realize how young he was. He's been in the UFC for a couple years now, since he was 22 years old. So he's a young, improving fighter who's getting better. He also trains at ATT, if I'm not mistaken, right? So that's a good camp, Cole. My lean right now is towards Hernandez because I do think he's probably got the striking advantage, but I don't know. I'm going to look into Moises more. There's just something about this guy that when he beat Bobby Green, I was like, okay, I'm definitely overlooking this guy, and I got to keep an eye on him a little bit more. So I'll look into this one more, Cole, but right now I got to lean towards Hernandez. He just did more in the UFC against better competition. Let's get these comments. This is good comments. Balfan, not hire Hernandez. The game of give me a fight against Grutzbacher. That is true. People are hiring for the fluke Darius win. Fluke. Okay. Daniel, you're underestimating Moises striking a little bit. Landon Green is more fluent than Hernandez. Green is definitely a good boxer for sure, but he's also very inactive, Cole. Green has these
Bobby Green. The thing about Bobby Green is he fights down to his competition.
Yeah.
He always is in close fights no matter who they give him because he fights to his opponent's level, and I don't know why he does that.
Yep, no, it's true. Anyways, I'm going to look into Moises a little bit more, though, just because, Cole, honestly, I don't want to get burned by this guy after the last 2 fights where I picked against him and I lost. And Daniel says he's at ATT. They prep really well. Absolutely one of the best camps. Okay, main card, Cole. We got 6 fights here. Alex Caceres versus Kevin Croom, the hard-hitting hillbilly? Great nickname. Caceres minus 210. Croom plus 175. Who are you taking?
I do not get this line, and I will not go against James Krause, so I'm going Kevin Croom here. I think what Krause has at Glory MMA, like, that is such a good gym. He has such good game plans. Like, everyone thought Derek Minner was going to gas out in the first round, and he got his cardio up. James Krause to me is a top 3, maybe even a top 5 for sure, maybe even top 3 coaches in MMA right now. Like, his game plans are so good. Like, he has the fighters so prepared, and Kevin Croom's a guy, like, his record doesn't look that good. Like, he has a lot of losses, but recently he's kind of turned it around. And with Alex Caceres, like, his last 3 wins, like the Austin Springer win, obviously, okay, that's a short notice replacement. Is Chase Hooper really that good of a win after what we saw Peter Barrett, who I think was kind of one of the worst fighters on the UFC roster, picked him apart for 2 rounds? And then Steven Peterson, I thought Peterson won that fight. Like, I don't think Caceres won that one, but Caceres is a guy where I'm not really high on him. Like, he has a lot of bad losses, same with Kevin Croom, but I think Kevin Croom can have the right game plan where he can outbox Caceres, use his grappling to have success. Like, although Caceres is kind of known as this grappler, like, he does get tapped out a lot, and I think Kevin Croom can have success on the ground. I think James Krause will come with a good game plan for Kevin Croom, and I just can't lay 2-1 on Alex Caceres at this point in his career, so I got to take a shot on Kevin Croom.
So I want to get this last comment from Marcel about the Dariush Hernandez fight. Do I think it was a fluke? I don't know, man. I mean, Dariush has been KO'd a few times. I don't think it's a fluke. Like, I remember when I bet him against Ramsey Nijem, he got knocked out in like a couple minutes. I was like so pissed. That was a few years ago. So he can get KO'd. I don't know if it was, and you're right. I mean, yeah, if you match him up 10 times, he probably does win 8, but you know, the one time he did land. As far as this fight goes, Cole, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm 100% with you on this one, Cole. That as soon as I saw the opening lines, I saw Kevin Croom at plus 250 and Caceres at minus 300. I was like, what the hell? What? This makes no sense. I understand he was a huge underdog against Roberts. That was like 1 day's notice. He hadn't fought in the UFC at that point. So that made sense to me. This fight, I don't understand the line at all, Cole. It has dropped, though. I will say that. So people are obviously kind of more on Croom here, which I think is going to be the right side, but we'll see. It's a close fight. Both guys are very good with their submissions, especially. If this fight goes to the ground, which I think it probably does, it could be one of those fights, Cole, where like the first guy who makes a mistake or who grabs the neck in the wrong spot or something gets the win. They're both very opportunistic finishers on the ground. They go for the sub where they can. They grab your back, grab your arm, etc. Both guys can be finished. We've seen that. I think there's a chance, Cole, this fight ends inside the distance either way. So, yeah, I think it's either guy by sub, but I'm going with Croom at plus 175 because I believe this is a pick'em fight. If not, a little bit of an edge for Croom, who has some advantages in this fight, guys. I mean, like you guys are talking about Cole and Tyler, talking about Krause. He's a magician. He absolutely is, dude. He's a great coach, great fighter too. Croom, is a big dude. He's going to match Caceres. Caceres is bigger than a lot of his opponents. Not in this case. This guy's the same size, basically the same frame, long, skinny, kind of weird frame. It just comes down to who catches whose neck, I think, Cole. And I believe it's going to be Croom catching Caceres' neck. So that's going to be my pick. And it's when Kevin Croom by sub. I'm actually going to look at what the prop on that is right now. Kevin Croom by sub. What is it? Plus 650, Cole. So that's not bad because I think there's a very good chance that happens in this fight. How many times has Caceres been submitted? Let me double check. Not too many, but okay. Kron Gracie tapped him out. Jason Knight tapped him out. Faber tapped him out. Jimmie Hedges tapped him out. Mackin Surmiser tapped him out. So 5 losses by sub. I think he can do it too.
Didn't Kron tap him out?
Yeah, I said Kron. So 5 guys, I believe. And there might be some more at the beginning because Tapology has a few that don't have the method, Cole. But listen, I like Alex, man. He's been in the UFC for over 10 years. It's incredible. Like, he's lasted way longer than anyone would have expected because I remember that season of the show. He was like the joke of the show, Cole. Bruce Leroy with the hair and everything. This guy's turning himself into a very good fighter over the years. And he has won 3 in a row, so credit to him, Cole. But I think Kevin Croom's a better fighter right now. So that's my pick. Guys really turned it around. I'm not going against that camp either. Kevin's Daniel says he's put 50 on Croom. That's a good bet, I think, man. Hey, Jose, how's it going, man? I like that bet, dude. All right, next up, what do we have here, Cole? We have which fight do you have, Cole? This whole list on best fight odds is messed
Hill
up.
Hill and Yoder.
Yeah. I'm just gonna look at Topology. Hill right now is a huge favorite. She is minus 325. Yoder plus 265. Me and Cole actually were texting about this one a little bit the other day, and Cole's like, "What do you think the line's going to be?" I said minus 200. I think Cole said minus 175. Bet Online, I believe, opened him at minus 175. Opened her, I should say. Excuse me, her. So Cole, nice job with that line, but it was a bad line clearly because the line's doubled now, minus 325. Cole, there's really no support here for Ashley Yoder, but do you think she has a chance to win this fight?
What's funny is it's actually a rematch, and a lot of people don't realize they fought in 2017 with Hill winning a decision. She was like minus 350 in that fight too, but I like Angela Hill in this fight. Call me crazy. Angela Hill cries robbery every single time she's in a close fight. I don't think she beat Michelle Waterson. I don't think she beat Claudia Gadelha. She definitely did not beat Yixan or whatever, however you say it. But she was saying, "Oh, I won that fight." She clearly didn't win that fight. I don't think she won Waterson. Gadelha was a close fight, but that's the thing. Angela Hill is in these close fights for a reason. She doesn't win rounds decisively. She kind of leaves a lot up to be desired. Like the way she fights is she'll land a couple, but her head snaps back so much that it looks like her opponents are landing the heavier shots. I think Angela Hill can edge out a decision, but there's no way you can lay minus 350 on Angela Hill. She's like Bobby Green, where she fights down to her competition or she fights up to her competition. I think Yoder is a step down from what she's been fighting, but Yoder, I had her last time out with that upset win over Miranda Granger. Like, she has capabilities to pull off upsets, but I'll lean Angela Hill. I think maybe you just bet this fight goes a distance because I don't really see any of them getting a stoppage win, and then you get both sides. But I think minus 350 or whatever it is now is way too high for Angela Hill.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype behind Angela Hill because a lot of people thought she won her last couple of fights. There's definitely an argument you can make, I think, for the fight with Gadelha, I believe, that I think I did score for, but I don't think she beat Waterson. It was competitive though, and before that she had a nice win streak. So I'll give her a lot of credit, man. I didn't think she'd be anything special after the first time she was in the UFC back in 2014. She left for a couple years, came back, and she's turning herself into like kind of a fan favorite, I guess you could say. But cool, look at her overall record in UFC. It's really not that good. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 and 9 record. You're gonna lay minus 350 on a fighter with a sub 500 record. Oh my, no chance, Cole. I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it, Cole. This is dog or pass, Cole. I'm trying to convince myself to take a shot on Yoder here. I'm not going to lie, Cole. Like, there's some things to like about her here. Hill took the fight on short notice. Yoder is 4 inches taller. Yoder has 6 inches in reach. Yoder's a southpaw. The problem is the striking differential. That's the biggest problem, Cole. She's literally landing like almost 6 a minute, Hill, and Yoder's landing like 2.5. So that's a huge problem. But, Cole, what do I have here? Hill's takedown defense is just 66%. Also, Angela Hill's older in this fight. She's 35 years old. She's not a young woman. She's 35. You know what, Cole? I think I got to lean Hill. That's just my lean because look at the line. You see the line, Cole? I am going to watch the first fight again. I will rewatch this first fight between them and see what I can take from it. They are different fighters now. But I'm just looking at the stats. Yoder apparently landed 3 takedowns in the fight. I have to watch it again. Go ahead.
And look at who Angela Hill beat. It was like Hannah Cyphers.
Yeah, not great fighters.
They're not good wins. And then she got the Gadelha and Waterson step up and she lost. Like, I don't like everyone thinks she's such a good fighter because she's a good personality. Like, she's a fan favorite, but she's not a top 10 strawweight. Like, people think she's like this top 10, like this world beater, but Yoder can definitely win this fight. Like, if anything, I think it's dog or pass for me, but I don't know. Maybe people will want to lay that on it. I just think even at this price, like, Angela Hill's not a parlay piece because I would not be shocked if she loses. I'm
just going to throw this up here for a second. It's the UFC stats screen. Again, stats are just one thing. You got to watch the fights, but there's a few advantages for Yoder here. Look at this, Cole. Sorry, it's not 6, it's 5 inches, but still. Southpaw, that's always an edge. And then look at this, the height, age 2 years younger. This is the problem right here, Cole. See that? That's the biggest problem. Twice as many strikes. But look how much Hill's very hittable. She's very hittable too. So Yoder's more of a specialist in the ground, I would say. Hill, obviously good takedown defense lately, 77%. But can't be taken down. Again, taken down 3 times in the first fight. I'm gonna have to rewatch that fight again. obviously. Again, it's so early in the week. Oops. There we go. So, again, my lean is Hill, but I don't know, Cole. Like, I guess I'm trying to convince myself to take a shot on.
Me too. I was so.
What do you guys think? You tell us, man. Like, I don't think half a unit on her is the worst play. I'll be honest. I think
Angela Hill's only getting bet up because people like her. Like, she's. Yeah.
Like, it's a close. It's like minus 200, plus 100, and right now the line is minus 325 and going up. It's climbing. So, yeah. All right, let's move to the next fight, Cole. Next fight is a rebooking between Pedro Munhoz and Jimmie Rivera. We talked about this fight, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago now, Cole. Yeah, and I believe I picked Rivera by decision. Is that what you picked?
I had it too.
Have you changed your mind? Because he did catch COVID a second time.
No, nothing really changes. I just think Jimmie Rivera is a much better striker than Pedro Munhoz. I'm honestly not too high on Pedro Munhoz. Like, he the lost to Edgar, that was a close fight, but loses to Sterling, and then he knocks out Cody Garbrandt, which I just think. Okay, a lot of people are knocking out Cody Garbrandt, but then look at his the Brett Johns win, and the Rob Font win. Those are good wins, but I think if Rob Font and Pedro Munhoz rematch, I think Rob Font would win. Like, when I talked to Tyson, he said that was a big mental thing where Rob kind of got really anxious and scared backstage before fights. Tyson was telling me, he said that's totally changed. Like, he's so confident now. Like, what Tyson was telling me is he thought Rob Font lost fights before he even walked out. Like, they kind of knew he was going to lose to Munhoz in the Sunset just because he mentally wasn't there. And that's a big change. But, like, I think this fight just stays standing. It's going to be similar to a Sterling fight where it just stays standing for the most part. And Jimmie Rivera just picks apart Pedro Munhoz for a decision win.
I'm just looking at Rivera's Twitter or Instagram while you're talking, Cole. Look, dude, look how big his dog is, by the way. His dog is as big as him. That's how big his dog is. Holy shit. That's awesome. Yeah, my thoughts don't change a lot. It's essentially the same fight. The thing about him catching COVID a second time does really freak me out. Mm-hmm. He says he feels good, but who knows? Look at Kamzat, man. He's still sick. Rivera had COVID, I think, last April or May. I believe he was supposed to fight on that first card back, if I'm not mistaken, Cole, like 249 or whatever after COVID. Pandemic started. He got sick, and then he got it again now. So that's the only thing that really worries me, because otherwise I like him in this fight. But that does worry me, guys. And again, a lot of guys who've got COVID have not performed as well in the octagon. It's just a fact. My lean is towards Rivera because I think he's just a more accurate, like, technical striker, Cole. And we saw against Gane, he can land strikes and be very effective. He can be dropped. Chin's not great. We've seen that. I just don't know if Munhoz is going to be able to drop. I know he knocked out Garbrandt, so he does have some power. And he lands a lot of kicks, too, which I love. But I think judges don't look at the kicks as much. And I think in that fight with Frankie Edgar, that's something I looked at a lot, the kicks. He was landing a lot of kicks. Judges pay attention more to punches, sadly enough. So I feel like he punches versus kicks in this fight, Cole. I feel like the punches win out. So Jimmie Rivera by decision is my lean in this fight. What's the problem on that, Cole? Rivera by decision. I don't think he finishes Munhoz. Do you?
No.
Decision plus 100, Cole. So I don't know. That's something, but you might as well just lay the juice on it. Okay, I want to go back to the last fight because we had a couple of comments. And Cameron says he got Yoder. Yeah. Daniel says, I might pop a file on Yoder out of spite. Hope she gets a robbery. Imagine that, Cole. Imagine Angela Hill gets robbed again and she gets freaks out again.
Oh, she loses a decision. She's going to call robbery again.
Of course. And here's Jose Flores. Another reason why UFC rankings are BS is the fact Cody's ranked higher than Pedro. That makes no sense.
But Pedro's lost two in a row since that.
Cole, I think a lot of us thought he beat Frankie. I know you didn't, but I think a lot of us did. That was a close fight, split decision. Having said that, it was a loss on paper. The other thing is these guys have fought before, right? And
Rivera won.
Yeah, and he's ranked higher than him. So it's it's one of those. Don't even pay attention to them, Jose. You're gonna make us all upset, Jose. Come on, it's been a good morning, so let's not talk about the rankings. Then we'll get Marcel start talking about Chris Taioni, and then things are gonna really turn awry. Anyways, Rivera by decision. Okay, Cole. A couple fights left. Next up, why is this fight in the main card, guys? Tell me. Montana De La Rosa versus Myra Bueno Silva. I guess it's a showcase for Bueno Silva, if I had to guess. I don't understand why it's on the main card. But minus 145 for Silva, plus 125 for Rosa. So De La Rosa, I should say. Who are you picking?
I kind of disagree with you. I like Montana De La Rosa here. Bueno Silva's a grappler. I don't think you're going to out-grapple Montana De La Rosa. I think De La Rosa is probably a better grappler. Like, you look at Bueno Silva, like, that's how she wins her fights. She takes her down and she smits them. Jillian Robinson, Myra Borello, Moana Souza. When she couldn't get someone down in Morose, she lost. I think De La Rosa is a better striker. I think her takedown defense is good enough. And I think what's a big fight for this one is Montana de Rosa got a full camp at Elevation Fight Team, which she didn't get for her last one. And that's a good group of girls out there. There's like Mallory Martin, Shayna Dobson. There's a couple other like UFC girls out there, and training at Elevation thinks only going to improve her cardio. I just think Bueno Silva really has one path to victory, and that's get her down and submit her. I think if she can't submit De La Rosa, she's just going to be able to kind of pick her apart on the feet and win a decision. It's definitely a close fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Bueno Silva edged a decision, but I like Montana De La Rosa here.
Yeah, it's a close fight, man. It really is cool. And again, one I need to look into a little bit more because Bueno Silva, quite frankly, has been very inactive in the UFC. She did fight twice last year, Cole, but she didn't fight at all in 2019, and she had one fight in the UFC in 2018. So very inactive fighter. Has looked pretty good, though, for sure. And here, Gane is nasty, man. There's a reason she got signed in the UFC. She had that nasty ninja choke on Contender Series. So, you know, it was like her, Johnny Walker, Vinicius from Moreira, who's one of Cole's favorite all-time fighters, and a few other people got signed from that first season.
I kind of be the worst UFC fighter of all time.
No, I think he should fight that guy, Kadis Ibragimov, then the title.
The battle of the worst UFC fighter of all time.
Sorry, I shouldn't fight her bash, but those guys are not good. Yeah, this is a close fight, man. It really is. You know, De La Rosa's got some advantages too, Cole. She's a little bit taller, a little bit longer. She has more UFC experience. She's been more active in the UFC. She's younger. She has a lot of advantages, actually. Trains at a great camp. I also think that Bueno Silva trains at a really good camp. She trains with Charles Oliveira and those guys at Diego Lima's shoot box. So training at a great camp. Coming off a nice win over Myra Burrell. But the thing about that fight is, Cole, she got taken down in that fight and got the armbar off her back. That does kind of worry me, right? Like, De La Rosa, can she hold her? Can she pin her to the ground? Can she get her back? So this is another tricky fight, I think. I'm going to look into a little bit more. My lean right now is towards Silva because I have been a little bit more impressed, Cole. And quite frankly, you know, the De La Rosa family, I got to fade them, Cole. I'm sorry, her and her husband, they haven't had much success in the UFC. But, you know, it's all matchup dependent, guys. And this is a fight where I think De La Rosa definitely has a chance. So I'm going to look into it more, Cole. You know, what definitely gives me some pause about Silva is the fact that she's not a striker, like you said, Cole. She's a grappler, and that could play into De La Rosa's strengths because I think if she fights a striker like Araujo, she's going to get destroyed, Cole. She doesn't have much striking. But on the ground, she's very good. So it's a close fight. Lean, Silva, going to look into it more. 2 more fights, guys. I'm going to get some comments quickly. Dan Edwards says De La Rosa's due for a win. So is her husband. Did he even win a fight in the UFC, Cole? Did he ever win a fight? Maybe. Maybe he's like 1-4, 2-4. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Jose says any updates on Kron? No, we haven't heard much. And I think it was someone was asking James to interview him. He's just like, he's impossible to track down.
Mm-hmm.
Babel fan. Got him angry. Talking about Jimmie Rivera's dog. Tyler's talking about the New England Cartel Boys. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They are a great camp, man. Andre says he likes Rivera in that fight. And we got DX Filler. Hey, what's up, man? I love that picture. It's so funny. All right, 2 more fights, Cole. Co-main event, Nikita Krylov versus Magabit Ankalaev. How do you pronounce it, Cole?
Ankalaev?
Ankalaev, there you go. So Magabit Ankalaev and Nikita Krylov. Minus 344 Ankalaev, plus 280 for Nikita. The minor, what do you think?
I think the odds are really too high on this one. Like, Magomed Ankalaev has looked good, but he hasn't really fought anyone in the UFC. Like, he lost Paul Craig, which that loss, you couldn't have lost 1 more second. Like, that's what gets me mad. Like, he literally had 1 second to not tap, but he wins that fight. And look who he beat. Marcin Prachnio, Klidson Abreu, Dalcha Lungieta, and then Ian Kuchalaba twice. Like, none of those are top 15 guys. Frankly, Dalcha isn't that good. Prachnio isn't that good. Klidson, I think, might have been cut. Like, Nikita Krylov has definitely fought the more like the high level competition. Like, he beat Johnny Walker, submitted OSP. Like, he fought Jan Blachowicz. He's fought Glover Teixeira. He has some good wins, and he has the capability to use his grappling and hold Ankalaev down exactly what he did to Johnny Walker. Everyone thought Johnny Walker was going to go through and just knock this guy out. I think that's the similar thing with Ankalaev. Everyone says, oh, Ankalaev is going to knock out Nikita Krylov. I'll pick Magomed Ankalaev here, but I actually think he wins a decision. I don't think he knocks out Nikita Krylov. A decision I was looking at was like plus 250, something like that.
Wow.
Because everyone thinks Ankalaev is going to knock this guy out, but Nikita Krylov has such a good chin. He doesn't get knocked out. Jan Blachowicz can knock him out, and he had to end up going on the ground and tapping him. I like Magomed Ankalaev, but I think I would not be shocked if this fight goes the distance.
I got to get this comment, man. Nice job, buddy. He said he won 750 on Lewis. Nice job, man. Congrats, dude. Hopefully you win this week. Hopefully we all will cash this weekend. I'm just going to grab these comments quickly, Cole, then I'll do mine. Cameron says he's a future champion. Ankalaev. Daniel says it's Krylov pass. Babel fan says Ankalaev. He says you can't compare him to Walker. They're just both like really tall. I think Ankalev's probably a little better. Walker's more flashy.
I wasn't comparing him to Walker, just comparing to that whole narrative that everyone
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and Walker was a big favorite, if I'm not mistaken. At least, actually, he wasn't a big favorite. He was like, was he like a pick'em maybe? He was a favorite though, for sure. What was the odds? I gotta check the odds quickly, guys. Krylov, yeah, he was plus 19 at close that last fight, Cole. So it was a little bit closer than I think we're remembering a little bit. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, guys, initially I'm like Ankolev's going to smoke him, and then you look into the fight a little bit more, and Krylov's got a better chance, I think, than people are giving him here because of the grappling advantage. He does have the better grappling. If the fight goes to the ground, this guy has the capability to submit Ankalaev, just like Paul Craig did with 1 second left. That guy tapped with 1 second. After that fight, I bet against him like 3 fights in a row, and I can't do it now with Ankalaev because we've shown a lot. But that quick tap, Cole, really freaked me out, man, because Krylov's very crafty in the ground, Cole. And Cole, if you look at his resume, Cole, look at his return to UFC, right? The latest stint. Look at the losses, Cole. Who are they to? Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira. Glover by split, who's the number one contender. It was a close fight in Vancouver. Those are not bad losses, Cole. And he beat Walker and he beat OSP in a rematch that a lot of people counted him out on. First fight, he got tapped out. He went and tapped out OSP in that fight. So, this is a guy who's had a weird career in the UFC, man. He's been up and down at times. He fought at heavyweight when he first came in. He was like a fat, out of shape heavyweight. He was terrible. Remember this fight with Sola Palelli, one of the worst fights ever. It was such a bad fight. He gassed out in the third round, got finished. I mean, this guy is just not a great fighter, but wasn't a great fighter, I should say. He's really turned himself into a great fighter over the years, and he's very, very good now, very dangerous. So, I'm almost convinced myself on Krylov here because I do like Angkolev because of the striking. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Cole, I think the fight stays standing. I think he outstrikes Krylov, but this is not a bad play. Krylov by sub. I think
I was looking. It was plus 950.
What the hell? Are you serious?
Yeah,
plus 950. That is unbelievable. Look at this one. Daniel says, I was at the O2 Arena when Ankalaev pulled that song against Craig. Thank God I didn't bet him that. The craziest freaking thing about that card? That was the latest submission in a 3-round fight in UFC history. Later on that night, Leon Edwards finished Peter Sabata at 4:59 in the third round. They were both at 4:59 in the third round the same night. Never happened before in UFC history. That is crazy. It happened on the same card. You were at that card, Daniel. It's pretty nuts. Cameron says he can KO or submit him. Krylov gets tired. Krylov never goes to decision. That's true. Krylov he's not really a decision guy, but he has the last 2 fights, right, Cole? If I'm not mistaken.
I know he went against Johnny Walker.
Walker and Glover, he went the distance too, so he can. He's definitely got better cardio than he used to. When he was a heavyweight, he had no cardio at all. Tyler says I like Ankalaev. I have to pick Ankalaev too. I'll pick Ankalaev, Cole, but I'm kind of looking at it the same way as you, man. I think it's a tougher fight, and he's very crafty in the feet, Cole. He might just stick on the outside, Cole, to win the decision because this is a tough fight, man, against a guy like. Why would he even get close to him, Cole, and let Krylov get a chance to get him to the ground where he could finish him? So yeah, Ankalaev, but there's a chance Krylov wins. Okay. Main event of the evening, Ciryl Gane versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And I just want to get this comment from earlier. Someone had asked about Gane. I think it was Jose asked. He says, do you think Gane by subs reasonable bet? We can talk about that now. So I should mention there's this new website I'm writing for called it's actually an app. It's called Fanatics MMA app. It's very cool. Fanatics Fantasy app. It's free. It's cool. Definitely check that out. And I have a prospect profile coming up on Ciryl Gane. It should come up today. So I did like a nice long article on him. I watched all his fights last night, Cole. I kept saying them to you, Cole. I was like, Cole, remember this fight from TKO? I've seen them before. It's been a few years though. So I watched all of Gane's fights last night. I love this guy. I think he could be a champion, guys. I really do. He's so good. And he's getting better. That's what I like about him. He's getting better. He's so well-rounded. That's the thing that stuck out to me. In his very first MMA fight, remember, he had a Muay Thai background. Fought 7 times in Muay Thai from 16 to 18. TKO saw him. They liked him. They signed him over. He went to Montreal. He fought for TKO 3 times. His first fight, Cole, against Bobby Sullivan, he's beating this guy up, and then he went for a front choke, which you don't see that often, choked him out. And I was like, whoa, this guy's got finish ability. The next 2 fights, Adam Didska was actually a pretty tough fight for him. He beat him up by a TKO, Cole, but it was actually kind of a tough fight. But it was good to get that experience. And then the next fight against Roger Souza, which I posted on my Twitter last night, was like the worst beating I've ever seen from Gane. That guy's got one of the best chins I've ever seen, Cole. It was just like a statue standing there just getting smashed. And Jason Herzog, the ref, he's like looking at it, like, what do I do? So that was crazy. And then Cole, since he came to the UFC, submits Rafael Pessoa, submits Dontel Days with a heel hook, beats Tanner Boser by decision, which was good to see him go 15 minutes, and then smashes Junior Dos Santos. I've watched all of Gane's fights, guys. He's incredible. I love him. Now, I did watch all of Rozenstruik's fights too, because I want to be fair and I want to watch both fights. And Rozenstruik is an incredible striker. As we know, he's got great striking, straight punches. He's got big power, uppercuts. He's got everything. Hooks, everything, kicks. He's a beast. But I think he's beatable, man. I really do, Cole. We saw him get KO'd by Nagano. I think both guys can get KO'd in this fight for sure. It's a heavyweight fight. I think that Gane would be more likely to knock Rozenstruik out personally, Cole. I think Rozenstruik can also be taken down to the ground too in this fight. And that's kind of where I think Gane's going to fight him, Cole. This is exactly where I wrote in my article. Just like Battle Fan says, if he's smart, he takes it to the ground. And he says there's a good chance of being on the feet. I agree completely. I don't think he's going to really want to stand back with Jairzinho, Cole. I think he's going to fight. The thing that stood out to me from Gane watching his fights, he has a high fight IQ too, guys. And he's very opportunistic on the ground. I think he'll try to wrestle him, get him to the ground. And, to answer the question earlier, I think Gane by sub is very good chance of happening. And the prop is Gane by sub plus 500. That's not bad, Cole. Gane by TKO is only plus 125. Gane by plus 500 for sub. Again, Jairzinho can win this fight, guys. He has power. We've seen that against Overeem. We saw that against Arlovsky, a few other guys, Alan Crowder, Junior Albini, these guys, Cole. But I just feel like the grappling is going to be a big advantage, Cole, a huge advantage for Gane. This is mixed martial arts. It's not kickboxing. If this was a Muay Thai fight, I would probably give an advantage to Jairzinho just because of the pure power. But it's not Muay Thai. It's MMA. There's no doubt in my mind Ciryl Gane is the superior mixed martial artist. That's what this sport is, MMA. I like Gane, Cole. I'm probably going to parlay him in some capacity. I understand he's a big favorite. I get that. I think he's going to win this fight, and I think he's going to win dominantly. So I really like Gane in this fight, guys. And, that sub prop is definitely worth the bet, man, I think. Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, I like Ciryl Gane here too. I think Gane's the real deal. I think he's the best heavyweight prospect probably we've seen in years, if not the thing is, in Gane coming after and talked about this guy was the best heavyweight prospect. That was just because he had so much power. Ciryl Gane has power, and Andy has a ground game. I think Gane is just going to shoot for takedowns early and often. I don't think this is going to be a kickboxing fight, as a lot of suggest. Like, you look at Rozenstruik, Alistair Overeem, not known as a wrestler, took Rozenstruik down over and over and over again and had a lot of success on the ground. If Overeem kind of just ran around the octagon and didn't let Rozenstruik even get around him for that final 10 seconds, he would have won. He probably would have 50-45 him, if not worse. I think Ciryl Gane just takes him down. I think Ciryl Gane has the ground game to tap out Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Ciryl Gane by sub plus 500.
That's crazy. I'm actually looking at the props right now. So Gane by subs plus 500, Gane by decisions plus 325. I'm surprised the sub prop is higher than the decision prop. Mm-hmm. I do think there's actually a chance, though, Cole, that this fight could go to 5 rounds. That Overeem fight was 4 seconds away from going 5. I think both guys have decent cardio for big men. Definitely Gane has the better cardio. If the fight does go to the 4th or 5th round, it's likely that Rozenstruik would be finished by then. But I think there's a chance that could happen too. But I'm not going to talk myself out of that plus 500 sub prop because I think I wrote in my article there's a chance that could happen, right? Yeah, but I would say, of the method of victory, that would actually be the second most likely behind the TKO, which probably is the most likely, Cole. Ground and pound, because he's got good ground and pound, by the way, too. Gane's got really good ground and pound. Can you guys tell I like Ciryl Gane? He's really good. Daniel says he's going to leap in and get finished right here, just like he did against Francis. Francis got a lot of power. Like you said, Cole, Francis has got power. Who has the better ground game between Gane and Francis, Cole? Gane. So he is a special fighter. I'm like, he's a special guy. Yep. When have we ever seen a guy who's 250 pounds get a heel hook? Besides Frank Mir, maybe. I can't remember any big man who's ever did this. And Olenek, obviously. But who else is that crafty in the ground? And can strike, Cole. And can move. And he's only 30, too. He's only 30. He's got long. 21
in any other division.
Yeah, I know. He's so good, man. Jairzinho says, I'm going to win some money in this fight. Everyone's picking Jairzinho. The line's going down a little bit. I do like Gane, and so does Andre. Again, he's a big favorite, guys, but, it's all matchup dependent. It's all matchup dependent. And I think he's got, I would arguably even cap it a little bit higher. Here's the thing. I saw someone tweet this on last week, and they were talking about MMA, right? You got to, look at the fights And any fight, anyone can get knocked out, right, Cole? So
Yep.
you can't be like, okay, this guy's going to get KO'd. Who's the better MMA fighter? It is Gane. Is there a chance he gets knocked out? 100%. Jairzinho's got big power. Maybe you hedge it. Maybe you want to go and hedge it. But overall, Gane is amazing. Like you like Gane as much as the guy yesterday. Macy. Maybe Chris is in the chat today. I don't know if he hates Macy, but he didn't like her too much, obviously. I do like Chris. He's cool.
I agree with you. I think she beats a lot of girls.
Oh, from yesterday? Yeah. Well, it was more Marcel talking to him, but Kevin says, didn't Simone sub Magabit round 3, 5 of round 3. So that fight's really messed up. It's actually called a TKO, even though we had it in a guillotine choke.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's the weirdest rule ever. It's stupid. I think it should have been a decision, but that's just me. And I think Magabit probably got robbed. He did get choked out, though. So
I have to watch that fight again.
it's just weird. It's after the belt.
Won the decision. I can't remember.
I think it was going to be Magabit was going to win a split, like a splitter or something, maybe unanimous. But anyways, okay, guys, throw your questions in there. We got 10 minutes left, Cole. So we'll take any questions that we'll grab here. Look at some news and stuff. Take a look around here, guys. There's definitely been some news. I mean, TJ Dillashaw's out there again. He wants a title shot. I know you're kind of like stumping for him to get it. So you're not surprised, obviously, by his comments. Do you think he's going to get it, Cole?
If Peter Yan wins, he does.
That fight's next Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, like, at first I was like, man, Dillashaw's waiting a long time. But now that this fight's here, it's like he's not really waiting that long. If Yan wins, I 100% expect him to call Dillashaw.
So I talked to Yan, and here's his whole thing on TJ Dillashaw. It's what I said. If you beat Sterling, like there's Sandhagen, there's Dillashaw. He goes, next, I want to fight cheater TJ Dillashaw. Many people think he doesn't deserve to fight for the title after suspension, but I believe it won't be a reward for him. It will be a punishment. I promise me that.
Dude, that's amazing. Did he say that, or did the interpreter say it?
He said his English is getting a bit better.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my God. Love that quote. That's your headline, Cole. There's your headline, buddy. I got some good questions here, guys. Let's get to them. I'm going to go for the first one from Marcus. I love this question. What are your thoughts on the Oklahoma football players getting their asses kicked in the bathroom by smaller guys who had MMA training? Is it true one of the football players has a lawsuit? I don't know about that, and possibly. I saw the video yesterday. The video obviously went viral. Great video. The guy looks kind of like a mini Ben Askren. Dude, it was awesome, man. The guy's getting bullied and stuff, and he beats the crap out of the guy. It was awesome. I personally like the video, but what do you think, Cole?
Yeah, it's crazy. It just kind of shows you don't really know who you're picking on. That's why bar fights are so, like, you could be like, oh, this guy looks so weak, and then all of a sudden he just whoops your ass. Like, you don't really know how strong or how tough people are fighting. Like, I know some people that are so muscular that in a fight, I think the smallest guy would beat them just because you don't know how to fight. They don't know what to do. Like, you can't just kind of base it off of what they look like.
100%, dude. You can't judge a book by. I was writing that yesterday too about Chris Dawkins. I wrote an article about him and Tom Aspinall for MMA ratings. You can find my Twitter, and I said you don't judge a book by its cover. You look at Chris Dawkins, you think he's some fat guy. Guy's incredible. Get these comments from Marav. Battlefan says Marav should have won a unanimous decision. He dominated Simone, went for a big slam. Sam just went ahead in the canvas. Was out for 2 seconds with 45 seconds left to go. The ref didn't see it. Let it go on. Should have been a UD win. I thought so too. It was kind of weird, but whatever. It's been a few years now anyways. Jose Flores, thoughts on Shamil versus Sakai? Split decision win for someone in that fight. It's going to be a grind fest. I think Sakai's probably a little bit better, but Shamil's got that ability to like hold guys and hug them and stuff. By the way, he's like ranked really high. I'm surprised how high ranked he is. Who's he beaten? I know he almost beat Lewis, but he didn't beat him. So Kevin says anything on Valentina Andrade or Zhang, Rosa Esparza. The only thing we've heard, and we had Marcel talking on this yesterday, Cole, was those events in Singapore, 17th, 24th, I believe. They want to do 2 events.
They're not happening.
They're not even happening. So there you go. So yeah, if anything, maybe they can get Zhang to come to the States. Like, it's been a year since that fight.
She lost all her momentum.
Dude, it must be a visa thing, right? Like, why else can they not get her over? It must be a visa. China travel issue, obviously. But have there been other Chinese fighters that fought, like Li Jingliang? Although I guess he's in the States, maybe now. I don't know what's going on. By the way, did you see that picture of Dan Hooker this morning?
Yeah.
Dude, that broke my heart, man. That's so hard to see. That little kid looked devastated. She wants to see her father. Dan Hooker's 56-day quarantine. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, what's crazy is he doesn't get out until after Adesanya's fight, and he fought in January.
That's unbelievable, man. I mean, the sacrifice these guys make, and he goes in there and gets knocked out brutally.
Well, that's why, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't fight again until all this is over. Like,
yeah, he's gonna take a break. Dabble fan says not happening. Sorry, Marcel, you did. I have so much going on in my head right now. You have no idea. Jose says, do you think Juan Adams got signed to UFC too soon? Yeah, he didn't look too good in the UFC. Jose says, do you know where T-Vesa trains now?
He was out in Dubai because Dan Hooker was working with him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I saw those pictures. Yeah.
And he did some more AKA before everything shut down. Like, I think he's doing a lot to improve his wrestling, which is good.
That's good. Tyler says, if Nunes beats Anderson, you think we see Nunes and Valentina for the 135-pound belt? You think, and then Nunes retires the band 145. The trilogy, eh? Yeah, I mean that's probably that is the toughest fight for, I think, but I don't know. Like a lot of people, including I think you, Cole, you said, or Marcel was the one saying she was going to retire. So I heard that.
I think there's 2 fights after. I think she beat Anderson at 145, fights at 135, and calls.
Yeah. You guys are kind of thinking that too. It's possible. I just think like I couldn't turn down $1 million payday to fight Megan Anderson. You know, if I was Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson would kick my ass, obviously. But I'm saying if I was Amanda Nunes, Cole, you're taking $1 million or whatever she's going to take to fight Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer, whoever else they can
maybe
find for
Danielle Wolf and that
Norma Dumont. They're going to find her. They're going to get her to fight her. Kevin says Invictus leaving Fight Pass and DIY. I don't know. I saw that yesterday. Shannon Knapp runs Invictus. She does an incredible job with that promotion. I don't know what happened. Hopefully they find
maybe like ESPN Plus.
That's some people were saying that it's possible.
I know they're just going on their YouTube channel for now until they figure something out. But
hopefully they figure it out. But I wouldn't be honestly, as sad as it sounds, would not be surprised if Invicta kind of folded shop because there's no fans or like is there fans? I don't know. Like how are they even making money right now? I have just a Fight Pass deal, right?
And LFA now is getting a lot of the top girls too, which makes it harder for Invicta.
It's tough, but they do a good job. And then here I'll take this question on Tyson Love. Any update on him?
He's not on the UFC roster anymore. His last fight was the last one, and they said they're not going to re-sign him.
Yep. No, man, Megan will kick her ass. I'm pretty sure she would, dude. She's a professional UFC fighter.
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't.
I have no shame in saying a woman would kick my ass like Megan Anderson.
Oh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't last a minute. I wouldn't last.
To be honest with you, the worst fighter in the UFC would destroy me. I mean, that's just
the worst fighter at 115 pounds would kick my ass. Like I wouldn't even be close. They would take me down and grab a hold of my arm.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta break my arm. Tap.
Yeah, I know. Kevin says Nunes isn't going anywhere. Crush cans and cash checks. I agree.
If Nunes she just vacates 135 and just stays at 145 and just easy money, no weight cut, no nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I think we're pretty much good now. Yeah, we got 2 minutes left, so might as well just plug your stuff, Cole. Tell everyone they can find you, Cole. Anything you got coming up? Any new projects you're working on? Everything? Like you got a lot of places you're writing now.
Twitter, @ColeShelton91. The show is Rozenstruik, Hernandez, Dustin Jacoby. Was supposed to see Randy Brown, had to cut him out because obviously his fight got canceled. And then I talked to Alexa Grasso last night, so I'll write that up about her win. I also talked to John Castaneda and Julian Rosa about their win, so I'll have those up this week as well. Everything else always on my Twitter.
I want to get this comment because it's really funny from Babel Fan. He says, I win by submission smother. So when I used to train jiu-jitsu and stuff, when I used to train MMA, that would be my favorite sub because I was the heavyweight and I used to always train with smaller guys. There was no one big enough to train with me. Just get up top and press my fat in their face, man. That was my favorite sub. Anyways, you guys can follow me on Twitter @MMAdamMartin. This podcast, obviously, MMAOddsbreaker.com, home of the podcast. I got to plug a few things. That's why I want to take a minute here. So first thing I want to say is James Lynch is a really good friend of both of ours. He just started a Patreon. I really want you guys to give him some love there. I'm going to be joining him on the Patreon once a month to do the Parting Shot podcast. So the Parting Shot is back, which should be awesome, Cole. I know Cole is a subscriber already, actually. In fact, Cole was the very first Patreon. So, I talked to James. He's really excited about this. He's going to be putting a lot of exclusive content and stuff on there. There's like merchandise discounts. I want to give him a plug because he deserves it. So James Lynch, Lynch on Sports, check out his Patreon. So that's something I got to plug. What else, Cole? So a few other places I'm writing for now. I mentioned earlier Fanatics Fantasy app. Very cool app. I played it last week, Cole. I got my fiance to download, so she's doing it with me now. I don't need to promote them. It's just a cool app, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing a little bit of writing for them. So got a prospect profile coming up on Ciryl Gane. What else do I got here? Elite Fantasy Elite DFS. So I told you guys I joined that website, Elite Betting as well. Just started with them last week. This week, it's a subscription website. I think it's $20 a month, but you get everything. You get the MMA, hockey, basketball, football, everything, Cole, if you want to join that. Obviously, it's a little bit of a premium service, but there's some amazing handicappers on that website and great analysts. Like these guys are big deals in the States, especially. So there's some for other sports and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. It's called Elite. And you guys I'll have a podcast there, article. I'm doing a Discord chat with the guys, and then my bets will be there as well. And that's something, obviously, that was a bridge I wasn't sure I'd ever cross, but quite frankly, it's part of the package deal with them, and I don't have a problem doing it, Cole. It's very important right now that I make as much money and work as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because I have a little one on the way in just a few months, and I'm probably getting married next year after COVID's over. So it's things are going to add up. I know that. So writing for them, and then where else, Cole? MMA Ratings got the Aspinall Dawkins article, and apparently I got another little. I got something else on the line, Cole. So maybe I'll tell you guys more about that next week. So that's good. And Tyler says he's going to do the Patreon. Thanks, man. Talk to you later, guys. See you.